Some new developments in the investigation into the January 6th insurrection. The Justice Department is now saying it expects to charge at least 500 people with taking part in those riots on Capitol Hill. So far, over 400 have been charged in what the DOJ is calling one of the largest investigations in U.S. history. And joining me now, Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence and MSNBC National Security Analyst, also author of the book, The FBI Way. Frank, big welcome. Always good to talk with you. Because, look, DOJ lawyers are calling this one of the largest, not just because of the number of people charged, but the sheer volume of evidence. It includes, last count, something like nearly 20,000 hours of video from surveillance and police body cameras. I mean, can you put this in perspective and your reaction to all of it?
Yeah, Alex, certainly in my 25-year career, including, by the way, 9/11 and the aftermath and inquiry of that, this makes that pale in comparison in terms of the span and scope of this investigation and the volume of evidence related to it. And I'm hearing from people I talk to involved in the investigation that, yes, indeed, they will hit the 500 number in arrests and maybe surpass that, but that far more importantly, Alex, the magnitude of the charges will move from things like trespass and assault all the way up to conspiracy, and we're seeing more of that, and even possibly sedition, and even possibly an enterprise theory of approach, which is under consideration to take down and dismantle groups like Proud Boys and Oath Keepers.
Oh, remarkable. This week, as you know, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren said that the Department's Office of Professional Responsibility was reviewing information that a radio transmission to all outside units' attention that they should not be looking for any pro-Trump in the crowd. She added they were only looking for any anti-Trump protesters. And a Capitol Police official is denying her account. But what do you make of that?
Well, first, what I make of this is precisely one of the reasons why we need an independent commission to get to the truth of how we led up to and what happened the day of January 6th. So, yes, the Capitol Police are pushing back on Congresswoman Lofgren, but this is the reason why we need an independent fact finder, because even if words similar to that were uttered in radio transmissions that day, something to the effect of look for, anti-Trump protesters, this gets to the larger question of our continued inability to see ourselves, people who look like us and act like us, as a threat. And the impact that the fact that the protesters were largely Trump supporters had on police decision-making and on interpretation of intelligence. All of that needs to be looked at if we're ever going to change the model of intelligence and execution on intelligence.
I want to get to what you wrote this week, and it was for MSNBC.com, and it was titled, Why Trump Loyalists Should Fear the First Capitol Riot Confession. And you write that there's more to this plea than simply a defendant admitting guilt. Explain that. How so?
Yeah, so we've had our first public knowledge of a cooperation agreement attached to a guilty plea, this time for a founding lifetime member. He said it himself. He's conceded, I am a founding lifetime member of Oath Keepers, and he said it in a court document. And now we know that he's cooperating as part of the plea agreement. Why should we care about this? He can tell us a whole lot about how Oath Keepers recruits their members from among active and retired military, active and retired police officers. He can also tell us about coordination that appears to have existed between Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. That would be fascinating to learn. And then lastly, he may have knowledge of the role played, if any, by those in political circles, sitting members of Congress, even political advisors to the president. This guy knows a lot. That's why prosecutors were willing to cut him a deal. They care more about what he can provide than about nailing him with an optimal sentence. Stay tuned for what comes out of that cooperation.
Yeah, definitely thinking bigger picture there. Okay, Frank Figliuzzi, author of The FBI Way. Thank you.